Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you once again. Thanks for everything you're doing by the way of learning and growing and being of service. Our presentation today is entitled Emulating and Experiencing the Cosmic Three. Past Imperator of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC, Ralph M. Lewis, in his book, The Sanctuary of Self, points out to us that the cosmic is the object and the world is the image. For our full maturation, we need to both experience the magnificence of the cosmic and then emulate that experience in our lives, service, personal contacts, and environment. To help bring this out further, what I'd like to do is share a slide with you now of an inspiring and unusual nature. You see before you now a work by Bill Viola. It was done in 1996. It's an image that was part of the work. It's entitled The Crossing. Now, The Crossing is a video and sound installation that was played in art galleries and museums. And on one side of one large screen was a person walking into water that increasingly started off as a drip, but then was a great showering of water down. And then on the other side of the screen, the viewer could walk around and see is a person who's being engulfed by fire or flames. So you have both a sense in Bill Viola's spiritual searches through the East and the Western traditions, what would suggest to many mystics, the action and transitive and transformative power of both water and fire. In early Christian traditions and later we know of the initiations associated with the baptism of water, but also the baptism of fire, a much more intense form of baptism spoken of by Master Yeshua. You find in early Christian traditions, for example, the renowned and remarkable Marcelina of Alexandria that traveled to Rome in the early days of Christianity, where they did such initiations. And it was a very advanced form of Christianity that we're fortunate to have access with through various means, including our Rosicrucian studies. While the Rosicrucian Order AMORC is not a religion, it helps us in the deepest sense of religion, its etymology, to relink, to come back into our inner spiritual nature. In this regard, and associated with Viola's work, I wanted to show you some text from the Corpus Hermeticum. And we'll go through it gradually because it bears greatly on appreciating Viola's work, The Crossing, as we'll make our own crossing today through our meditation period, bears greatly on experiencing and emulating the cosmic, our subject today. In the Corpus Hermeticum, from antiquity, we have Egyptian sages. They're very familiar in writing in Greek and thinking in Greek. And it's quite remarkable that some of the things that they revealed in there are very profound. And if we've had mystical experiences, practice meditation, Rosicrucian teachings, we can see much more deeply into what's being said. For example, here, translated into the English, unless you make yourself equal to the divine, you will not be able to contemplate the divine in your consciousness, for like is understood by like. Now, sometimes you'll see the translations, rather than saying the divine, it will say God. We're working to be more inclusive in our language here, but you get the sense. So you see a very surprising statement, at least for many, but this is something that we've done many times together, and I'll relate that further as we go through our presentation. I think back of the inspiring books by past Grand Master Raymond Andrea on Technique of the Disciple and Technique of the Master, where he mentions about we need to be vigilant, always on the lookout for discerning truth, whatever form it takes. We need a certain amount of depth and open-mindedness to achieve that. And same too here, we notice that there's a spiritual philosophy being stated, but in another way, there's also a spiritual practice, a mystical exercise being described to us if we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. The passage goes on to relate to the following. Grow yourself to an immeasurable size. leap out of every body, go beyond all time, become eternity, and then you will be conscious of the divine. Again, you could follow these steps through in a mystical exercise or a meditation period, which is what we will do shortly when we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Further, the text goes on to relate, assume that nothing is impossible for you. Now, it's true, we work with natural and spiritual laws, Rosicrucian laws, and principles to work in harmony, to be able to manifest, to create, and live out our deepest way through life in mastership. And within that, we expand our conception of what we understand as possible, especially move from the finite plane to the infinite plane. A whole new range of possibilities come forward, often to the surprise of ourselves as latent abilities come to us. So in this sense, we're thinking about the very profound meaning of this Corpus Hermeticum text 11:20. And I put beside it Viola's The Crossing to help inspire us in terms of this new dimension of what it is to be a human being through baptism and also attunement with the cosmic. We'll find here that to make yourself equal to divine, that's not in the sense of self-grandizement, but that's in the sense of attuning with the divine within, our true guide in nature, we could say. There's a tremendous amount in this statement as you may wish to reflect and contemplate on if or return to it again. Now, in that way that it mentions to us that like is understood by like. There's a law that's being revealed there. In a way, it's our true nature, our return to our divine estate. And in a way, we can hold ourselves back. And this is inviting us to let go, to be receptive, to surrender to our true nature. Grow yourself to an immeasurable size. We soon ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. There's times we'll mention to you that we can radiate love and well-being throughout the cosmos, that we can allow our minds to assume the cosmic mind. It's very much in this way that we're speaking here. Leap out of every body. As we rise to the heights of the celestial sanctum, we'll pass by a tremendous number of stellar phenomena, various bodies of the cosmos, but also we'll move beyond various bodies of the holy temple of our body, but also the various bodies associated with the human being and all forms of encapsulament to go beyond. There'll be a transcendence. Indeed, go beyond all time as we transcend space and time. We move into eternity, but also the sense of eternity in becoming it, being it, living it now. Not only a sense of vastness, going in a linear sense of going from distant past to a distant future, and not only just a cyclical sense of time, like the seasons coming back in each other, but having all time at once, and that way being eternity. And then you will become conscious of the divine. And that's what we'll seek to do, and that's what we'll do when we experience the cosmic and then emulate it. We'll follow this process, because you can see that there's both experiencing the cosmic, but then also emulating it by being conscious of it. And finally, assume that nothing is impossible for you. I know what we're about to do, and I invite you to do with me as we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum may seem impossible. Nevertheless, I invite you to let go and just let it unfold and be fully ourselves. Now, inspired by Bill Viola's work, The Crossing, we'll make our own crossing now. And by the wise sages of antiquity who wrote in the Corpus Hermeticum in the tradition of Hermes. I invite you at this time, prepare yourself for meditation and ascending to the heights of the celestial sanctum. You may wish to close your eyes, get comfortable in your chair, or if you're lying down in your bed or however you're situated. With the eyes closed, just enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. either holding the inhalation or holding the exhalation, what Rosicrucians refer to as neutral breathing. And to the degree comfortable for you, I invite you to breathe a little deeper than usual. Feel all the more the freshness of the air coming in. With it, what Rosicrucians refer to as the VLF, or the vital life force. We'll feel an increased tingling in our body as that fresh air comes in, especially with its positive polarity, the vital life force, the cosmic essence. You feel a very enriching tonic effect, not like the pins and needles that we feel when we're lacking oxygen, but just the opposite, feeling the vitalizing power of the oxygen and the vital life force. And if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation. And with that extended exhalation, longer than the inhalation, something wonderful automatically happens. There's a relaxation response. The great vagus nerve is stimulated, and its harmonious actions with the autonomic nervous system increases. It allows us to move more closely into what's technically known as autonomic balance. Applying the law of polarity, the law of duality, the dual action of the autonomic nervous system through the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These two nervous systems help us with action, but also contemplation, meditation, reflection. Both qualities are needed. It's a bit like riding a bicycle down a street and you have the two handlebars. Well, we have the two nervous systems that are part of the autonomic nervous system that guide us through life. And as we extend that exhalation, we're more able to make adjustments back and forth to the intelligence, the subconscious mind, ultimately connected to the cosmic mind, which we're moving increasingly to now. Let's just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. One of the wonderful things that happens during meditation, including the simple form of meditation of concentrating on the breath, is that we become increasingly sensitive. You can experience our heart rate slowing up or decreasing. We can experience ourselves coming more and more into what's technically known as optimal heart rate variability. The durations of our heartbeats are being adjusted, not like being a metronome with equal length each time, but a more healthy state where they're being adjusted according to our needs. Just continue to feel all there is to feel. Be receptive, to let go, and feel the various flows going on in our body, the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, and more. As we relax, they're able to work efficiently, and they can work harmoniously together. Part of the great harmonium of the body allows us to experience harmonium in all. As the Corpus Hermeticum said to us, Assume nothing is impossible for you. Just let this experience unfold, not holding back. And as we become more fully ourselves, a great deal of energy is released because it takes a great deal of energy to be who we are not. Soon we'll ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum, following the instructions of the booklet Liber 777. I'll give you resources on later. It's new to us, something very special to learn this meditation technique. If we know the booklet already, it's good to keep coming back to it, because as we learn and grow and experience more in meditation in life, we'll understand more and more its meaning. For indeed, the book, is based on experiencing the cosmic, but then in writing it, an emulation of the cosmic. And having applied the law of purification and certain other laws of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC, I invite you to say with me the following prayer and invocation as we prepare to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now let us sense ourselves, picture ourselves rising up from wherever we're situated in our home or office or building, rising up at great speed using all our inner imaginative capacity and our psychic faculties to see ourselves up over our neighborhood and our local geographic area or town or village or city. And let's continue to rise faster and faster and see ourselves up over our county and now even our province or state, and see down below the various weather systems, water systems, landforms. We rise higher and higher, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent. Now over our great nation or country, and indeed our continent, our hemisphere, and now the entire beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the temple of the earth, rotating about its axis. As we look up and see the other planets, as well as the earth, following great elliptical orbits around our local star, the sun. And sense its great fiery actions as we rise higher and higher, going way beyond the speed of light as we transcend space and time now, doing the unseeming impossible, yet making it possible. Beyond the outer reaches of the solar system, vast myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the quasars, the pulsars, the black holes helping balance the universe, nebula, asteroids, rogue planets, cosmic web connecting stars and galaxies. We sense we're within a great arm, a great set of spiraling arms, rotating about a great center that is our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. Let us exit out from that galaxy, look back at its beautiful form and geometry, recalling how the divine geometricizes. And we look up and we see other galaxies and stars and nebula and sense the vastness of the universe. At the same time, let us apply the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as we rise higher and higher into the cosmos. There's a dual action of going deeper and deeper within ourselves to the very presence of the divine within. And let us continue with this dual action as we rise higher and higher, get deeper and deeper within ourselves. Sensing what's been spoken of since ancient times by philosophers and mystics, the harmony of the spheres, the music of the spheres, the great system and order of the cosmos, as we increasingly experience the wonder and awe of it all, rising higher and higher, faster and faster. We now even more into appreciation of what Rosicrucians mean by the term the cosmic, the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, and all natural and spiritual laws that are at work within it and within ourselves. As we rise higher and higher past myriad stars and nebula and galaxies, some in a spiraling formation and other formations. Sensing the vastness as we move from the finite plane to the infinite plane. We may now even sense that the universe itself is rotating about a great cosmic axis spoken of since ancient times. We see the stupendous rotation of the universe, tremendous action and dynamic motion. When we sense the presence of that cosmic axis, let us move towards its midpoint, the very center of the cosmos. And as we reach it, let us slow up and dwell at the center of the cosmos, at the center of our being. This high point of consciousness that is known to Rosicrucians as the celestial sanctum. Following further the instructions of the booklet Liber 777, I invite you now to mentally create or visualize your personal sacred space. It may simply be the awe-inspiring presence, sight of the cosmos all about you, the great temple of the divine. Or it may be an inspiring temple back on earth that is special to you. Or maybe an inspiring place in nature that is of particular significance to you. I invite you now to mentally create it, visualize it, make it real, make it vital. Feel a degree of exhilaration in doing so. You may wish to sense the presence of other seekers there with you, those on this conference call with us. Grand Lodge and Supreme Grand Lodge officers of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC may be conducting a sacred convocation ritual at the heights of the celestial sanctum. In the presence and the inspiration of the visible and invisible masters. Continue to fill in your mental creation or visualization. Enjoying the artistry and the capacity to be a co-creator with the cosmic. You may wish to sense incense wafting up, symbolizing the law of transmutation, just like we rose up to the heights of the celestial sanctum. You may wish to visualize stained glass windows or other symbolic works of art, indicating mystical and Rosicrucian laws and principles. Make your mental creation and visualization of the celestial sanctum of an inspiring, uplifting nature. You wish to build in various uplifting emotions peak experiences you've had in your life of a mystical nature. Recall them, be them, imbue them within the celestial sanctum. And when you're ready, we'll release our mental creation or visualization into the subconscious mind and into the cosmic mind. By saying now as I invite you, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Now, having released our mental creation, let us dwell in silence at the heights of the celestial sanctum, in the increasing presence of the divine within, our true nature and guide in life. Feeling all there is to feel, indeed feeling all that can be felt. Be receptive, let go, and surrender to the master within. While we continue our meditation at the heights of the celestial sanctum, I invite you to join me in undertaking another spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC. By participating in the work of the Silent Council, in conjunction with the Council of Solace of the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC. By radiating love and well-being from the depths of our hearts and minds to all those who've petitioned the Grand Lodge for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those who've petitioned the affiliated bodies of the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC, for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those we know who are in need of guidance and healing. And finally, let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. Let the tremendous flow, just like our exhilaration rising up to the heights of celestial sanctum, feel the exhilaration from the depths of our being, assisted by the divine within, our true guide nation, to radiate love and well-being out to all in need throughout the cosmos. Feel the great tonic effect, reaching those in need, channeling through us the natural healing forces of the cosmic, awakening them in those who are in need. We are not doing the healing, but it's done through us, through the divine within and the assistance of the cosmic. At a certain point, I think you'll find the flow will speed up even faster. And you know you're reaching those in need. At that point, I think you may be able to just let go without any conscious effort, and just let flow. And let cosmic law be fulfilled in this manner. Soon we'll formally conclude this period of sending of metaphysical aid, but assured that it'll continue as a way of life from the depths of our being, as part of our mission in life, and as an act of service. We'll continue our meditation period a while longer to formally conclude this work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace. Let us say together, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. Let us continue now to dwell at the heights of the celestial sanctum, just as the love and radiations of well-being went out to fill the cosmos. Let our minds radiate out with them, filling the cosmos, our mind becoming the cosmic, the underlying universal intelligence of the cosmos. Let us experience now as the cosmic, as our mind fills the cosmos. Let us be the cosmic. Let us assume the cosmic now. And soon we'll ascend from the heights of the celestial sanctum. Before doing so, I invite you to invoke the law of gratitude. Which in turn will intensify the application of the law of cosmic attunement we've been applying throughout this meditation period. By expressing our thanks and gratitude and radiating such to all those who have taught us well. And expressing our great thanks and gratitude and radiating our love to all those who have taught us well. expressing our thanks and gratitude and radiating our love to all those who have sacrificed well on our behalf. Inspired by their example, and ever more so by the example of the divine within, our true guide in nature, we're increasingly becoming and identifying with. Let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, traveling at tremendous speed, way beyond the speed of light, past myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the quasars and the pulsars, the black holes balancing the universe, zooming past nebulae and galaxies of various forms, enjoying the exhilaration of the descent, taking with us the cosmic attunement as our birthright and as a way of life. Sensing all the more the music of the spheres, the great harmony of the cosmic, all natural and spiritual laws at work. We see in the distance the great spiraling arms of our home, the Milky Way galaxy. We plunge back into the great arm where we dwell, past myriad stars, nebula, planets and rogue planets and asteroids and comets, and see in the distance the beautiful elliptical orbits, the planets of our solar system, and the great fiery ball of the sun, and the beautiful blue jewel, the temple of the earth. We come back to the hemisphere where we left off. And now the continent, our great nation or country, our province or state, our county, and then our local geographic area or village or town or city, back to our neighborhood. And as I invite you again to say the following prayer and invocation with me. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And let us continue to descend back on the home or office or building where we left off, back in the room where we're situated, feeling remade, re-energized, rested, feeling all the more ourselves, all the more identified with our true nature and guide, the master within. These acts are at the very heart of the mystical way of life and coming into our mission in life. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and you wish to stretch your arms and your legs and move your fingers and toes. And open your eyes. We'll continue with our meditation. Thank you, everyone. So we've experienced and applied all the more the great insight of the mystical philosophy and the mystical exercise described in the Corpus Hermeticum 1120 and suggested by the artist, inspired spiritual seeker Bill Viola in his work, The Crossing, as we've made our crossing today. Thinking further about our theme on experiencing the cosmic and emulating the cosmic, we'll apply this diagram again to see there's a circular, mutually reinforcing action of a very healthy nature. Whereas we experience the cosmic just like we did in our meditation period now, and various other times, particularly in our uplifting experiences, where we draw more deeply into life, that deeper integrated state within us. And as that starts to become more known to the outer self, there's a great unity formed. But it behooves us then, once we've had that experience of the cosmic, to emulate it, to live it out, to live in harmony with it. In this, we come into the greatest understanding, meaning, and maturity in life. You may find, for example, well, I get the idea of experiencing the cosmic in meditation, and I'd like to experience a lot more of that. And indeed, once we've had a taste of it, we intentionally want to come back to it, just like we want to keep breathing. At the same time, how do we translate it into cosmic experiences? Well, there's a variety of guidance on that in our weekly lessons of the monographs of the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC, with our things that we read and the exercises. The order is very practical to put into practice. That is the emulation of the cosmic. And in the resources I'll give you, there's various things that I think you're aware of, but you know of, like, for example, there's the Rosicrucian Code of Life. And there's not strict regulations, but suggested guidelines for us to do of an inspiring nature each day. How we greet the dawn when we wake up, for example. And then we experience the cosmic, but then we vow that we'll emulate the cosmic in our day. There's various also other directives there. Whenever we receive an award or a gift, to search inwardly that are we worthy of it? Have we sufficiently emulated the cosmic to be deserving? That and many other things are mentioned. There's also the inspiring Rosicrucian Creed for Happiness. We'll give you resources on. And we've had a Grand Lodge teleconference on that very document about various ways to come into happiness in our lives. Indeed, when we have that exhilarating experience and influx of wisdom of the cosmic, we're truly happy, truly sensing meaningful living then. But the Creed for Happiness has various guidelines for emulating it. Unique to each of our circumstances, we apply our imagination and creativity. And one of the wonderful things about experiencing the cosmic and doing meditation is it enhances all our faculties. Our capacity for creativity and applying the law of creativity is boosted. Our imagination works for us rather than against us, and so forth. One of the great ways we can emulate the cosmic is in service, particularly, but not exclusively related to how we can help others to become more self-reliant. And also be receptive when we see their examples, how we can become more self-reliant when they demonstrate mastery of life before us. We can also search within ourselves to see what is the general trend in our life. Is it upward and uplifting, or is it often overwhelmed and anxious? There's time to deep reflection, to come back and experience the cosmic. Take time more in meditation. It's well worth it. It'll make our lives more efficient. Just as in meditation, our heart rate decreases and it becomes more efficient and takes longer breaks between beats. So that's a great law of analogy for our own life. Be able to take breaks, to have that time to keep returning back to the deep well that is the divine within, that we're increasingly realizing and expressing in our life. Are we generally upset with people? That's a telltale sign that we're definitely out of tune with the cosmic. Now, there may be various good reasons for it, yes, but there's time for reflection, examination, and indeed, when necessary, to get health professionals to assist us in that. There's many laws and principles and healing practice of the Rosicrucians, but they're not meant to be at the exclusion of the application and advice of health professionals. Again, that's working with the law of balance. Indeed, as we grow up and we experience the cosmic more and are able to emulate it more, we find something happens that may take the outer self concerned initially, is that we actually we become more and more responsible, and we take more and more responsibilities for what we're doing in our actions, less blaming of others. Indeed, the greatest form of self-criticism is self-criticism. Another thing to be on the lookout for is, are we being consistent? The way we react with our family or respond to our family, is it consistent with how we act with those outside of us? Are we quite critical and harsh with our family members, but then very friendly with others? In other words, are we two-faced? We need to be consistent in our love and application of that law. Experiencing the cosmic will give us insights and guidance on how to do that and emulating it. In a way, we need to be setting an example. We can think of ourselves like a beacon, just like we radiated love and well-being throughout the cosmos, and have that as a way of life. And we were like a lighthouse that can help guide others through the rocky shoals of living. It can be an inspiring example, just as we're receptive, the inspiring example of others. In this matter, it reminds me of the book Cosmic Mission Fulfilled, which is a biography of past Imperator H. Spencer Lewis. And it was written by past Imperator Ralph M. Lewis. And while the Rosicrucian Order AMORC does not emphasize personalities, but rather the deep guidance for the divine within us, reading biographies of people can help us to get some ideas on how to emulate the cosmic. Not, I emphasize, by comparing ourselves with others, but by getting ideas on living from the examples set by others that we have seen that seem valuable to us and that we can adapt in a healthy way for our own life. And I think of past Imperator H. Spencer Lewis and how he's described in Cosmic Mission Fulfilled. He didn't put on any airs, even though he was of tremendous accomplishment and involvement. He met everyone as equals in life, whether they were the person who was doing the lawn maintenance and gardening at Rosicrucian Park, or it was the Grand Master of the order. And he showed genuine interest in others, just like the cosmic and the divine shows genuine interest in us all. And he would listen carefully, just like the divine within will listen carefully to us and behooves us to do likewise for its wise and sage guidance. And also he would follow up with others when they had taken, then they'd ask for his advice and guidance. So he showed his continual caring, just as the divine within is continually caring for us. And also he was greatly consistent in his actions. For example, he had a balanced home life and work life. He was greatly praised by his family members and his colleagues for his loving guidance and kindness. You know, in regard to this, let me show you a further important point about this concept of mutually enforcing experiencing the cosmic and emulating it. I've placed at the top the expression self-mastery, which we mean by there, not mastery in the sense of control, but mastery in living in harmony with our physical natures, our mental, emotional, psychic nature, and overall spiritual nature, and with all about us. That increasingly, as we emulate the cosmic, we move ourselves gradually more and more towards self-mastery. And when these are perfect balance and perfect action, there will be self-mastery. And it's important that we not overemphasize either experiencing the cosmic, emulating the cosmic. If we overemphasize or put great emphasis on it, and much less so on emulating the cosmic, on experiencing the cosmic, we'll tend to find our spiritual life will dry up. It needs to be the justification for the law of service for our growing. Indeed, by emphasizing the cosmic at the expense of emulating the cosmic, what we're in fact doing is making spirituality a specialty, which it is not. It's an all-embracing way of life. This is part of the beauty and wisdom and mastery that's shown through the Rosicrucian teachings. We come into the deepest spirituality when we balance this circular action before us. Now, if we just emulating the cosmic and the right is emphasized, we'll find that new impetus will not be received. We'll find ourselves getting stuck, not advancing, not being able to be of greater service to ourselves and others. Now, it's true in regard to emulation. We may find ourselves pioneers. We may not readily have apparent role models, and that's where we need a great deal of courage, but the experience of the cosmic will help us with that. If we have someone, a teacher or a person in our profession who's very mystically inclined, who's experiencing emulating the cosmic and using that to advance their field, that's wonderful. Each of us will do it in our own unique way. And this it reminds me of past Imperator Christian Bernard, where he emphasizes that we need to learn to be able to do small things perfectly. Where he says that never forget that to accomplish great things, we must be able to do small ones perfectly. That's both a humbling and very helpful practical statement. Indeed, there needs to be great system and order for constructive purposes in our emulation of the cosmic. And as the inner self sees that we're working in this circular action. It will assist us. It sees that we're serious, and it will increasingly be imbued and soaked up in our outer nature. And that's why often you'll see, and we've had inspiring figures in our life, our mentors have been so fortunate. There's often a very common, deep underlying common denominator in them. In a way, they're expressing that one universal pattern, that one universal understanding, maybe through different languages, different cultures, but it's there. Also, an inspiring statement I remember from past Imperator Christian Bernard, where he emphasizes that we must become forever instruments of cosmic harmony and universal peace. So when we're such instruments of cosmic harmony, universal peace, we're fully emulating the cosmic. And we do that through our illuminative experiences of experiencing the cosmic. Increasingly, as we develop inspired on the path, we can draw on our memory, our experiences, those touch tone, uplifting experiences. We can draw earlier on that the meditative state momentum we have from meditating daily, the way of life. You know, in this regard, it reminds me too that in the book by past Imperator H. Spencer Lewis, The Sanctuary of Self, in the culminating chapter, I'll give you a reference on there, he mentions about where do you find a mystic? In other words, someone who's working towards self-mastery, working to that direct experience of being one with the one. Who's working to experience the cosmic, but then equal emphasis on emulating the cosmic. He says, when you find a person who is industrious, studious, compassionate, loved by their friends and neighbors, tolerant in their religious views, and who can point out to you the magnificence and efficacy of the divine, in the simplest things, you have found a mystic. So you see there a beautiful expression of having experienced the cosmic repeatedly and keeping in tune and rapport with it, that they're emulating the cosmic by being industrious, studious, compassionate, loved by their friends and neighbors, tolerant in their religious views, and they can point out the magnificence and efficacy of the divine in the simplest of things. It's found a mystic, and they're able to point these things out because they've had the first-hand experience for experiencing the cosmic. It will be real and vital. Often I know we look to past times for greater things or greater things in the future, but it's here with us now as we attune with the cosmic. We come into that universal way of life. We are the living, radiant tradition. And this is part of the beauty of experiencing and emulating the cosmic in continuous action. There's a law of duality there, but then it comes into the oneness and self-mastery. This is summed up beautifully by the law of the triangle. As we build these two perfect poles together, experiencing the cosmic on the lower left, emulating the cosmic right, we come into the true meaning and purpose of life, the true full capacity for the well-being of ourselves and others in service.